kind of the breaking news portion of this. This is from the Daily Wire. I'm guessing they probably had this write-up already prepared because they dropped it 30 seconds after JD Vance was announced. So I want to read down so you guys can hear who JD Vance is, why it's a good. I know, not it's VP, but I mistyped the damn stream because I was in a hurry. So I'm not going to keep addressing that. If you guys want to let everybody know, I'm aware I mistyped WP instead of VP because I'm a freaking. No one said I was smart. All right, so let me read down through this so you guys know who VP is. Vice President elect or select, I guess you'd say, JD Vance. And then I have another news story about it's actually the media being muzzled. Oh, they're pissed off. Morning Joe, who's a bunch of leftist weirdos, they actually got pulled off the air because everybody was afraid they were going to say something stupid, which is par for the course. And Trump's latest case in Florida, the federal document case, has been dropped. It is toast. It has been dismissed by the judge. We'll jump into that as well. We'll get into that momentarily. But I'll start right at the top here with JD Vance. JD Vance, the small-town kid who inspired America's working class with his story of hard work and perseverance, is on the brink of becoming VP of the U.S. He's got to get elected, of course. Former President Donald Trump announced on Monday, today, about 20 minutes ago as of now, that Senator JD Vance, a Republican from Ohio, will be his running mate in the 2024 presidential election, just 2 years into his term. 2 years into his term. JD Vance will be his, here it is. Just 2 years into his first term as Ohio's junior senator, Vance has become one of Trump's fiercest defenders, despite once being an outspoken critic of the former president. Incoherent Turd says Vance called Trump Hitler and chose Hillary over Trump. He hasn't changed. He got $10 million from Peter Thiel with no track record and elevated, forced down our throats, Obama style. He will tolerate expansion of Middle East war by allowing Israel to land grab Lebanon. This pick sucks. Trump learned nothing. We'll see. We'll see, because there's a lot of people that are big Trump fans and pundits of Trump that are cheering this on. So, I'm going to report the news. You guys can make up your mind about it. I think it's, Vivek Ramaswamy is very new to politics. He was left-leaning at one point. No one said 71723. No one said I have brains for journalism. I'm just reading and speaking my mind. A lot of people like Vivek Ramaswamy. He says the right things, but he has no political history, a la Barack Obama. Same thing can be said for JD Vance, but JD Vance is small-town working man, so there is that. Some of the others, people were afraid would be yes men for the war machine. So we'll see. We'll see if JD Vance changes his term at all. They say Vance, 39, gained prominence in 2016 before entering politics with his best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, which chronicles his journey from a dysfunctional poor family to Yale Law School. Though the book does not mention Trump, it was seen as an offering explanations for the former president's rise in popularity with the white working class. In the years following its publication, Vance emerged as a bridge between the political elite to the Rust Belt. That's where some people are worrying that he might be that bridge instead of actually being a representative of the Rust Belt, the working class. Vance, who served as a combat correspondent in the U.S. Marine Corps and later worked as a staffer for Republican Ohio State Senator Bob Schuler, while an undergraduate at Ohio State University, he won his first political campaign in the competitive 2022 Senate race against incumbent Tim Ryan with 53% of the vote. Tim Ryan is somewhat of a rhino, so people think that's good news. Following the attempted assassination of Trump on Saturday, Vance accused Biden campaign of inciting violence by labeling the former president an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. He added, Vance's alignment with Trump's agenda made him the favorite of Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., who promoted Vance in the weeks leading up to the Republican National Convention. That probably had a lot to do with Trump picking him, because Trump is going to listen to Donald Jr. on quite a few things, I'm sure. Don Jr. posted on X, stop what you're doing and watch this right now if you want to know what America First is all about. Don Jr. posted to X, accompanied with a video of Vance talking at NatCon, where he called America a nation. America is not just an idea. America is a nation. America is a group of people with a common history and common future, Vance says in the video. Vance's Senate record includes prioritizing legislation about foreign policy and cultural issues. Vance has been a staunch opponent of U.S. aid to Ukraine and its war against Russia. In April, New York Times op-ed, Vance made the case against a $60 billion aid package to Ukraine, claiming the country needs more than the U.S. can or should give it. Vance contrasted the war in Ukraine to Israel's war against Hamas in a speech in May, where he said standing with a Jewish state is in America's interests. He said, if we're going to support Israel, as I think we should articulate a reason why it's in our best interest, Vance said, adding that Israel gives missile defense parity. That's very important to national security objective of the United States, and that's something we're working with one of the most innovative economies in the world to accomplish. Vance has been a strong critic of illegal immigration, criticizing President Joe Biden in May for giving benefits to illegal immigrants. Vance also introduced legislation in June to wipe out diversity, equity, and inclusion programs throughout the federal bureaucracy. The DEI agenda is a destructive ideology that breeds hate and racial division. It has no place in our federal government or anywhere else in our society, Vance said in a statement announcing the release of the dismantled DEI Act. Last month, Vice President Kamala Harris's former communications director said Vance would post the greatest threat to Kamala Harris during a vice presidential debate. Quote, I think he's got a quality about him where he's just super smart and sharp and quick-witted, Ashley Etienne said. I just think it's going to be a challenge to see the two of them face-to-face. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I think he's going to be the greatest threat to her. If Trump and Vance prevail, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine will appoint a replacement who will serve until a special election is held to finish Vance's term, which expires in 2029. The election will take place during a regularly scheduled election that is at least 180 days later. Let's see what the comments are. Someone, I don't think this is going to be released. Vivek would be a great chief of staff. Someone else says Vance would be a good choice to work towards uniting the nation. He's very good at explaining points to each other. Other people saying I like him. So that's kind of their take on that. I figured I would give a quick update as to that. Let me jump to my other story that I have today. Let me check on live tips. Read that from Incoherent. And Colonial Odie just became a subscriber for $50 for the year. Thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. I think you'll get a lot out of locals and the forums. So welcome aboard if you're happening to be listening to this live stream. All right, so I need to do a little bit more homework on JD Vance myself. I do know who I didn't want. You know who I would have liked? I would have liked Tulsi Gabbard. I think she would have been at least a bridge to moderates. She was former military. She is pro-Second Amendment, but I did have problems with her too. Let's be very clear about that. Overall, I think my favorite pick would have been Dr. Ben Carson. And I stated this in another stream recently. Ben Carson would have probably put a very big nail in the coffin of Democrats calling Republicans racist all the time. Dr. Ben Carson is extremely smart. He's very committed Republican. I don't believe Tulsi's a rhino. Actually, she's not even Republican. I think she's announced that she's independent. Ben Carson is well respected. I think it would have even more supported not only the black but minority vote. I really liked Ben Carson, and not for his skin color. Let me be very clear about that. I like Dr. Ben Carson because of his feelings toward the country, the fact that he is a good man, the fact that he. But here's the thing: I don't even know if he would have taken the position because I don't think he wants to be in politics anymore. If I'm honest. So I really would have liked Dr. Ben Carson. I really would have liked that the most. I'm glad it's not Tim Scott. He's a rhino. I think he's, well, not maybe rhino's wrong. I think he's a warmonger. So, look, I get what you're saying about the woman in positions of power. I understand that. I've listened to Tulsi Gabbard for a couple of years. I listened to her in on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I liked a lot of what she had to say. She cares so much that she told the Democrats to F off. She's spoken against the Democrat Party a lot. She knows that they're in it for power and not helping out people. So that from Tulsi in and of itself is a good thing. I agree with many of you saying a woman in office probably wouldn't be the best choice. I can't argue with that. No, I've seen Tulsi out on the range. Tulsi used to be a grabber, but I've seen her out on the range, and she's now a proponent of the Second Amendment. And she specifically said, because I've seen what the Democrats will do to get power, and we all need the ability to defend ourselves against Democrats' overreach of power. So if she was kind of against it at one point, and then she said, oh, I now understand why we have the right to defend ourselves because Democrats are full on crazy, that is a good message. That being said, were it up to me, I would have done JD Vance, and that would have been it for me. Let's check in on the convention, see if anything new's coming out of that.
Home to Washington, Madison, Monroe, the first governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, the voice of liberty, Patrick Henry, and home to Thomas Jefferson, who penned the most immortal words that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Now, this is, I believe this is Governor Youngkin, Glenn Youngkin, if I'm correct.
And among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
I think this is Youngkin. He was in the running as well. He would have been like a popular purple state. He would have been he's very popular amongst the right as well as some independents and Democrats. So Youngkin might have been a good bridge between the left and right. I think the reason why, and this is going to sound crazy, you guys are going to think I'm crazy. I think the reason why Trump went with JD Vance is Trump wanted to make sure that if for some reason they decided to take Trump out of the running, so to speak, like they tried a few days ago, I think JD Vance would continue on the quote unquote MAGA, the MAGA message, as it were. So let's jump into, while I have you guys here, let's jump into the media being muzzled and the latest Trump case as being dismissed.